Hi, my name is Vince Flowers, and I serve as the Senior Program Officer of Youth Development at the California Community Foundation. I want to start out this webinar by saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because I don't know what time you're watching this recording. Having said that, I want to welcome you to the Ready to Rise RFP Request for Proposals Information Seminar. Where you're going to learn what is Ready to Rise, and you're going to learn how to apply for a Ready to Rise grant. In terms of what is Ready to Rise is a public-private partnership between the LA County Probation Department, the California Community Foundation, and the Liberty Hill Foundation. And what we do is our public-private partnership diverts funds from the probation office into youth-serving community-based organizations like yours. My summary, I like to say, in my summary of Ready to Rise is we're going from detention to prevention and from a carceral system to a caring system. In terms of our agenda, what I'm going to cover during today's webinar is I'm going to provide you with an executive summary of Ready to Rise, and then I'm going to provide you with a grant overview and then an application overview. In terms of Ready to Rise, you will notice throughout the presentation that I either call it Ready to Rise or R2R for short. R2R is an abbreviation. It's our internal abbreviation for Ready to Rise, and it simply means Ready to Rise. And so having said that, let's jump into our Ready to Rise or R2R vision statement. Ready to Rise is vision. The vision of Ready to Rise is to expand the social safety net for young people in LA County. And we plan to do that by encouraging our youth development network to be more culturally responsive, more culturally based, and more culturally centered. This timeline shows that over the course of 3 years, from 2019 to 2022, that Ready to Rise went from a $3.2 million pilot to an over $38 million initiative. And I really want to give a shout out to our Ready to Rise grantees who continue to serve community no matter what, who, they serve community rain, sleet, or snow, and even through the pandemic. In fact, our Ready to Rise organizations served over 55,000 community members during the pandemic and provided over 400,000 touch points. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and this is the Ready to Rise village. The village starts with the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council, or JJCC for short. They're the oversight committee who oversees crime prevention funds. Those crime prevention funds are held by the LA County Probation Department, who then forwards those funds to the California Community Foundation, who serves as the Ready to Rise grant-making partner. And they also, the LA County Probation Department forwards additional funds to the Liberty Hill Foundation, who serves as the Ready to Rise capacity building partner. We then partner with Ready to Rise organizations or grantee organizations who, like you, who are community-based, nonprofit, youth-serving organizations. Our theory of action, in short, is that Ready to Rise serves as particularly, I should say, CCF serves as, we do grant making. And what that means is we support the organizations that support our young people. Liberty Hill does capacity building. And so that means they develop the organizations that develop our young people. And then that ultimately results in a stronger youth development system throughout LA County. Now, this is a very important slide, and you're going to want to take note of it because you're going to want to highlight your program's model and your program services. You're going to want to show how they align with our Ready to Rise positive youth development framework. And so I'm going to start out by saying and giving you an overview of the framework, and that is our Ready to Rise positive youth development framework, or PYD for short framework, is an outside-in strategy. It takes external factors into account, such as politics and the economy, which is represented in the turquoise outer circle. We then work with youth serving organizations, once again, like yours, which are, and the services that they provide for young people are represented in the dark blue circle. This list is not comprehensive, but it spans from services that our grantees tend to provide, range from arts to advocacy and mentoring and tutoring and everything in between. The light inner blue circle are what are called our positive youth development domains or developmental areas. And you're going to want to integrate and show how your program model integrates with several of these developmental areas or domains. You're going to want to show how your program and your services build up the cognitive and academic skills of young people, how they build up the physical health, the mental health, the social emotional well-being, and ultimately enhance a sense of identity and sense of self for young people. Our outcomes really are at three different levels. We're looking to make, and really I would say improve at the youth level, improve at the program level, and ultimately improve at the community level. And so we're really trying to level up youth, level up programs, and ultimately level up our community so that they can all be the best versions of themselves. At the youth level, some examples of some youth outcomes that we're looking for are for youth that ultimately, because they're a part of your program, they are better equipped to be gainfully educated and gainfully employed. In terms of programs, we're looking to help strengthen programs and really to strengthen organizational health of the program providers or the organizations, the youth serving organizations that we partner with. And then ultimately, the goal is for all that to, once again, level up our community and to really empower our community. These are our grant-making principles. There are 4 of them. They are geography, service, capacity, and population. In terms of geography, we're looking at your organization's location, meaning where your offices are located. We're looking at the service area, where you're providing services, so the area where services are provided to young people by your organization. In terms of service type, there are plenty of service types on the screen. These are just a list of examples, but you are not limited to this list. In terms of capacity, in terms of us gauging your organization's capacity, we're looking at the number of years you've been serving the community. We're looking at the size of your budget, and we're looking at the number of staffers that you have. And so I do want to point out that that doesn't mean that bigger is better. That if you've been in existence longer, that if you have a larger budget or if you have a larger staff, that means that that's better. I want you to remember, we are called Ready to Rise. And what that means is we are helping organizations that are ready, meaning mature organizations, and we're also helping organizations who are rising or emerging. And so we are here to help both. Lastly, the population that we're looking to serve is defined by ethnicity. So think historically marginalized populations. And then we're looking to really help populations that are already justice involved or that may be vulnerable to justice involvement. And so once again, there's a list of examples on the screen in terms of population types. But once again, you are not limited to this list. This service area map shows where our original cohort of 49 grantees from over 2019 to 2022 serviced and helped out young people. And so the pink represents LA County, and the squares represent the zip codes where our grantees supported young people. And if you were to count up the squares, you'll notice that there are more than 49, and that's because many of our grantees, they have more than one service location site. And so that is our service area map for our original cohort of 49 organizations and where they serviced and helped young people. Ready to Rise is investing and committed to investing in youth serving organizations. And what that means is we're committed to serving and really, I would say, investing in the talent and leadership of our community partners. And so when you sign up for Ready to Rise, you're signing up for individualized and group coaching. And so I want you to know that some of the areas that Ready to Rise coaches provides leadership coaching in is board development, staff development, evaluation, fundraising, so forth and so on. The list goes on and on. And the last thing I'll say about this slide is that in terms of capacity building, when you sign up to be a part of Ready to Rise, know that you were signing up for 75 to 100 hours approximately of capacity building hours over the 3-year grant term. And that really is because we want you to be different than when you started. You know, as a friend of mine always says, we want to leave you better afterwards than when you came to us. And so having said that, that's our capacity building slide, and let's move on. In terms of data highlights, once again, these cover years 2019 to 2022. And so over that time period, that 3-year time period, our grantees received more than $22 million to service and to in grant funds to help serve young people. Over that 3-year span, our organizations increased their budgets by 15%. 69% of our original cohort were BIPOC-led, meaning Black, Indigenous, and people of color. 3 of our organizations started out as being fiscally sponsored, but over the 3 years, their capacity was built up, and all 3 of those organizations gained independent 501c3 nonprofit status. I'm also happy to share that over 25,000 unduplicated youths were served, and we had almost 1 million programmatic touch points. In terms of systems change wins, number 1, Ready to Rise is helping to go from punitive measures to protective measures. Number 2, Ready to Rise is absorbing a lot of the administrative burden so that our grantees are dealing with much less and a reduced amount of bureaucratic red tape. We also are providing upfront funding for our organizations, and we're providing consistent funding for our organizations. In terms of Ready to Rise reporting, it's all de-identified, meaning that there will be no personal identifiable information in terms of the youth that are being served. We also have streamlined the background check process, and we're happy to note that in partnership with the community-based organizations that we worked with, we've developed community-based research practices. That concludes our executive summary. Now you know what Ready to Rise is. Let's now jump into the Ready to Rise or R2R grants. We are anticipating 50 grants going out to communities, so 50 different organizations receiving grants. The grant amounts will range from $50,000 to $200,000. Those will be, once again, annual grants and annual grant payments. The term is from November 1st, 2024 to October 31st of 2027. The funding is conditioned upon good standing, so grantees being in good standing, and it also is conditioned upon available funding, meaning once we receive funds from the county, we will then forward those funds to you. Lastly, funds may be used for both direct costs and indirect costs, and the indirect cost limit is 10%. Here are some grant populations. This is just an example. Once again, not an exhaustive list, but once again, we are looking to, through Ready to Rise grants and Ready to Rise funding, to serve high need and vulnerable youth populations, including justice-involved youth, foster youth, transition age youth, housing insecure youth, low-income youth, LGBTQIA+ and or gender expansive youth, gang-involved youth, continuation and or alternative school students, and then disconnected youth, meaning youth who are disconnected from both work and from school opportunities. Once again, not an exhaustive list. Now we're going to move on to our R2R application. I'm going to walk you through that. First thing is, are you eligible to apply for a Ready to Rise grant? You have to, in order to be eligible, you have to be a 501c3 nonprofit. You need to be based in LA County. You need to serve youth in LA County who were between the ages of 11 and 24. You need to employ at least a minimum of one full-time permanent staff member, and you can't be a current or previous Ready to Rise grantee or grant recipients. In terms of preferences, we're looking to partner with organizations who have strong ties to the community. We want to partner with organizations who co-design their programming with youth and with community members. We are going to preference organizations who do not receive funding for their youth services from the county probation departments. We're also looking to have a geographic spread of organizations who serve in high needs areas all throughout LA County. We're looking for organizations that serve low-income, under-resourced communities of color. And we're looking to work with organizations that integrate several developmental areas or domains of our positive youth development framework. And what are those positive youth developmental area frameworks, domains? Are number one, we want you to show how your organization helps young people improve and build up their skill set, their cognitive skill set, their academic skill set, how your programming and services are helping young people to improve their physical health, their mental health, their social emotional well-being, and their sense of identity. The application timeline. The applications opened up back in June 27th at midnight, and applications close on July 26th at 11:59 p.m. I want to stress that the applications will close at 11:59 p.m. And I'm stressing that because incomplete applications will not be reviewed and late applications will not be reviewed. So make sure you get the application in early. We also are scheduling our review committee. We'll create a short list of organizations to visit based off of the applications that we receive. And those site visits are scheduled to be between August 26th and September 20th. So if you are selected to receive a site visit and for us to come visit you, please make yourself available. Lastly, funding decisions will be going out on October 24th. These are the application sections. We'll be looking for you in your application to tell us about your organization, to tell us about your staff, to tell us about your proposal or program and services that you're going to offer. Tell us about your learning cohort and capacity building needs. We want to learn how you do evaluation. We want to learn about the population and geography that you serve. We want to learn about your financials and grant and funding history. And then we have an optional supplemental information section as well. In terms of the application itself, the application portal is SurveyMonkey Apply. If you've ever used SurveyMonkey, most of us have, you noticed that it's a very intuitive, user-friendly, easy to use platform. And I can say that SurveyMonkey Apply is exactly the same. It's user-friendly and it's easy to use. If it's your first time using SurveyMonkey, please register for an account. After you log in, you will need to fill out a pre-eligibility quiz, and that quiz is mandatory. It is a 5-question quiz, and we really want to respect the time of our organizations and our community partners. We know that you're busy helping improve the lives of young people. And so if you're eligible, after completing the pre-eligibility quiz, the questions will appear and you will be able to fill out the application. If your organization does not qualify, then the questions will stay hidden. As you're navigating the application, I want to note that completed tasks are designated by a check mark. Incomplete tasks are designated by a half circle. And after you complete all the sections, I want to encourage you to review your application carefully so that you're putting your best foot forward. And then please download your application for your reference and your organization's reference. At that point, make sure to hit the submit button. And it's a green button. Remember, green means go. Don't go through all that work and forget to hit the green button. Lastly, if any questions arise during the application process, the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to refer to our robust set of grant guidelines and robust set of frequently asked questions, our FAQs. After you've done that, and if your question doesn't appear there, the majority of questions will. But if your question isn't answered in one of those two places, then I'm going to ask you to send your inquiry to our SurveyMonkey question form. And that of course appears in our application and in our RFP. So you'll be able to, you already have access to that. Please send as many questions as you like, the more the merrier. And then lastly, you are also invited to attend our question session on July 10th at 10:30 a.m. It will be a Zoom. And so we look forward to seeing you there. Once again, please submit your questions early, and that will help us to prepare to answer your questions in a very efficient manner. Having said that, we look forward to reading your applications and we look forward to partnering with you. Thank you very much.